All right, ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to this episode of Live Chat with Ronald Kenneth. In today's episode, we are going to be discussing something very, very important. The title of today's discussion is Starting from the Scratch. In previous episodes, we talked about how we can strategically position ourselves for the new year, but in this episode, we are considering starting from the scratch. A lot of people want to start businesses, they want to start up their ideas, they want to get involved in one thing or the other, but they always have that challenge of starting. And today we're saying you can actually start from the scratch and grow to what you want to become. My guest on tonight's show is Ejiro Mekako. Ejiro Mekako is the co-founder of Spinkart, a public speaking and writing leadership institute that trains people to maximize and build confidence in the area of self-expression through their skills. As a public speaker, he believes in using his voice and his mind to provide solutions to the problem of individuals that revolves around personal development, leadership, growth, and success. Now, Ejiro is a graduate of the prestigious University of Port Harcourt, Nigeria, where he studied political and administrative studies. He is passionate about working in his God given purpose as well as inspiring others to do the same. He's a believer of excellence, which he believes can be a way of life. One of his favorite mantra is the quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to Ejiro Mekako. He's here, he's with us. Ejiro, you are welcome. You can unmute and say hi to us. Ejiro, are you there? Hello, Ejiro. Okay, so while we wait for him to come up,
Hello.
okay, yeah, okay, he's here.
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Ejiro. How you doing?
I'm fine, sir. How are you?
I am fine. It's nice to have you join me tonight. It's
Thank you,
nice to
sir.
have you here.
Thank you,
And
sir.
yes, you've been following through all the sessions you
Yes, sir.
get to tonight. You get to unleash uh, to us from the wealth of your knowledge and wisdom. So we are eager to hear from you. Okay, so I've said a lot about you already. I don't know if there's any other thing you want to add to the profile I read about you, because I know you're a man of many parts.
Okay, sir. In conclusion to what you've already said, recently, I've gotten the green light to, work in a certain path. And that is to help people establish profitable social relationships. So, a lot of persons do not really understand the concept of relationships and, the role it can play in the success of one's journey here on the earth. So, I'm still gathering the necessary tools, to make that, a reality. But as of the moment, I'm in training right now. So very soon, I'll be helping individuals, brands and organizations build profitable social relationships, going forward.
When you say social relationships, I know a couple of persons will have an idea as to what it means, but let's assume you're talking to laymen. What does social
Okay.
relationship entail?
Okay, so when I say social relationship, I simply mean building the right skill sets to be able to interact with human beings, and not just to interact with them, but be able to profit from your relationship. with them. Okay, so basically there are three levels of relationship we can have right now. We can have a relationship that entails those, with those who are ahead of us. We can have, those who are on the same level as us, and we can have a relationship with those who are still behind us and who are coming. So it will take great level of social knowledge and, social experience and skill to be able to relate with these three parties in a manner that will be profitable to you, to your journey, to your business, and to your life in general.
Okay. That's pretty amazing. It's like it's almost like you're carving a very amazing new niche for yourself, and I don't see a lot of people in this space, and
Yes,
which is
it
actually
was,
very good thing. A lot of
it was
persons
a
may
spec.
be in this space, but they don't know, they have not defined it yet. Do you get?
Yeah.
But it's a good thing that you have defined yours, you have defined it for yourself, and you are running with the speed of light. You know, Ejiro, I've watched you grow, right, from back then. I don't want to mention back then, the exact back then, but bro, the growth has been astronomical, and that's the beauty of the whole thing. You know, you just observe and see how people just become better versions of themselves, and it's so amazing. My growth journey is one which any person who had seen me or observed me grow would wonder about. But you know, when you're not even conscious about the entire growth process, you're just growing. You may not understand that you are growing except someone else lets you know.
Yes.
But then when you are growing and then you're also watching another person growing, you'll be like, you'll be appreciating that other person's growth.
Yes.
It's amazing. And you know, tonight we are discussing starting from the scratch. I don't think there's any other person I would want to be having this conversation with than someone who actually started from the scratch. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
You know, people believe that you need to have a certain type of you need to be born with a certain type of skill set. You need to be born with a certain type of
Mm.
knowledge. You need to have relatives placed at strategic positions and all that. Why that is important, there is also a set of people who wake up and decide to be that strategic relationship that other people will need. You know,
Yes, sir.
and it comes as as a result of growth. It's a function of growth. So let's delve into the conversation. Let's have you talk to us about starting from the scratch, what it means to you, and you know how people can actually position themselves for things like this. Because we have a lot of young people who are listening to us who may find themselves in that mix. You know, that mix of I don't have so much. How do I start? You know those simple things. So let us know from you what it means to start from the scratch and how people can actually manage it and be successful at the end of the day.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you very much once again for this very, very big opportunity, sir. It's a real privilege to be here. Like you rightly said, I'm someone who was privileged to, know when you started, your growth process and your journey. And so far, it's been an amazing sight to behold. And I just want to say to everyone who is listening to this that one of the things growth does for you is that it makes you attractive. Okay, growth makes you attractive. At the start of
Wait.
anything,
That's a punchline. That's a punchline. That's a punchline, bro.
so growth makes you attractive. Now, here's the thing: at the start of anything you're doing, you will not always get the applause. You will not always get the belief from others. You will not always think you are right. Okay, but then guess what? Over time, if you're consistent enough with the right mixture, trust me, you become somebody who begins to call the attentions of people. Now, when we decided to have this conversation around starting from the scratch, I had this ideology in mind that starting from the scratch is actually a myth. Okay, a lot of persons can tell you they started from nothing. I understand them in a way, but that is not completely true. Okay, it is not possible for you to start out from nothing. It is not possible for you to start from the scratch, because trust me, you are not without something. You have something already, so it's not actually nothing. Okay, I like to tell people that, see, when you want to start anything in life, when you want to start on anything, be it success, be it a business, be it whatever, your personal development, acquiring a new skill, you already have certain resources at your disposal. The problem is a lot of people are blind to these resources, and they just keep thinking, you know what, I need some big amount of money to start a business. I need some form of connection, to get going. But like we've discovered all through the course of history, it never actually comes in that big format. Okay. So one of the resources, you can say you have at your disposal is life. Okay, life is a resource that you have at your disposal, because guess what? Without life, then you cannot start anything. Okay, a dead man cannot start a business now. A dead man cannot start building a house now. A dead man cannot start creating a global brand now. Only the living can. So for the very fact that you are alive, it means you already have the most important resource to start. Okay, now, beyond life, what next? What next must you be conscious of in terms of resources that you have within your disposal that you can actually use to start out, whatever you'd like to do? I like to say that the second greatest resource we can have as people in starting out our journeys is time. Okay, a lot of people do not understand that time is a currency, and how you spend time actually matters. Because you see, whatever you give time to, time rewards you with an investment. That's how it works. It's like putting your money, you know, in an investment scheme, and you're getting returns at the end of the month or at the end of the year. Or, for those who are into real estate, it's like buying and keeping. Time is like that. When you invest this resource called time, you get a harvest. Okay, so every man has time. Time is a resource that every man has to leverage on if they seek to start and build anything. It's just that a whole lot of persons are ignorant of this resource. They go about wasting time. Okay, and they don't know that in the process of wasting time, they're actually wasting life. Now, a lot of folks will tell you that they are waiting to be perfect. They want to get to a certain level of skill set and knowledge before they will be able to, launch out. Well, my personal story is this: I didn't have everything in place. I didn't. There was something Sir Ronald used to tell us in 2016, 2017. He would tell you that one of the best ways to learn anything is to learn on the job. I'm a strong supporter of that school of thought. One of the best ways to learn anything is to learn on the job. So while a whole lot of persons are waiting for, the perfect time to start something, or waiting to acquire a whole lot of skill set, a whole lot of knowledge before they can launch out, there are others who are taking that step of faith without seeing the whole staircase, and they are making mistakes. They are learning from their mistakes. They are applying the correction, and they are getting results. I like to tell people, I said, see, there is a great need for us to become in order for us to be able to do. Okay? But then there is also a need for us to do in order for us to become. Okay, so what do I mean? Let's say a student gets admission to study pharmacy in school. Now, at that point, the person cannot claim to become a professional in terms that the person starts administering drugs to the sick. No. The person will first of all have to become a pharmacist before the person is now given the authorization to probably open up a pharmacy, or work in a hospital. But guess what? Because the person has to do to become, the person goes to pharmacy school. The person acquires the knowledge for it. The person begins to go for practicals as regards to that particular field, and over time the person comes out successfully as a pharmacist, and then that person now has, the becoming backing them up, so they can now actually go ahead to do. Okay, so it takes someone who has an understanding that they have this great resource called time to actually start. You don't have to be perfect to start. You do not have to be perfect to start. It's a myth. There is nobody who started out perfectly. Why? Because everything is subject to improvement. Everything is subject to an upgrade. So waiting for the perfect time is waiting for no time at all. So yes, you have time. Time is a resource with which you can start with. And trust me, when you invest on time, time will pay you. Time will pay you. Another thing I'd like to say as regards to starting from the scratch is the fact that you need knowledge. You need knowledge actually. You see, at the foundation of many things that you seek to build is knowledge. You cannot build anything, you cannot start and sustain anything without the presence of knowledge. Okay, we've heard that knowledge is power. That is true. Knowledge is power. But then the results of that power can only be achieved in the place of applicability. So, in other words, what I'm saying is it is only the knowledge that you apply that will produce for you. Okay, so when you want to start out any business, when you want to start out building a personal brand, when you want to start out in any career path, or any skill set you might have chosen, one of the things you cannot neglect is knowledge. And guess what? One of the benefits we are enjoying in these times is the fact that you do not even need to meet certain persons one on one to learn from them. The internet has made it so easy for you to become a master from home. They have made it so easy and so possible for you to become a master from the home. So guess what? Let's say I'm a great follower of, I'm a great follower of Obon King. Obon King died, in 2020. I'm a great follower of that man. Now, I never got to meet that man in person, but I can say I've met him. Why? Because I have followed so much the works he has done. I have followed so much the teachings he gave out, the knowledge and the wisdom he shared. And guess what? While I was doing that, I was not in Abuja with him. I was not in Lagos with him. I was right in Port Harcourt City. But yet, I was having access to all the knowledge he was sharing. That is the opportunity we have now. That is the opportunity we can claim we have now over those who probably 50, 60, 70 years ago did not have. We have the power of the internet to access knowledge. So when you want to start building anything, when you want to start from the scratch, you need to understand that there is a place for knowledge, and that this knowledge has been made easy to access through the power of the internet. I was listening to, our first guest, Kenneth Ferdinand, when he was speaking. And one of the striking things he said in his section was the fact that we are now in a borderless, society. We are now in a borderless world, and your competition is not longer, your next door neighbor. Your competition is actually, the person in Ghana, the person in South Africa, the person in the US, doing that same thing that you're doing. Okay. Now, what will differentiate you from that person when you're starting? It's the quality and the sufficiency of knowledge you have at your disposal. Okay, so when you seek to start anything, when you seek to build anything, you need to understand that there is a price to pay, there is an intellectual cost for what you seek to build and for what you seek to start. And I like to say something else that is very foundational, to starting and building anything, and that is the power of vision. Okay, the power of vision. I'm being very practical and very realistic here. That's because I don't like to preach what I don't practice. Like I said, I've known Uncle Ronald for a while. I know in 2016 when Uncle Ronald was still, starting the Deronic company. and the smartphone productivity work. And Uncle Ronald always told me that, in the next couple of years, I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be doing that. He said it repeatedly. He said it over and over and over and over and again. And trust me, I was one of those persons who believed in what he had seen. Now, for those of you who know him right now, you will know that, trust me, his vision has started coming to manifestation. He has actually started accomplishing his vision. Okay, so guess what? One of the things that has helped us start out, one of these great resources that we have at our disposal is vision. Okay, it's vision. We don't pay to have a vision. You don't pay to have a vision. It's something that you can originate from your mind. It is something that you can create. Okay, it is something that you can stay and it can come to you. Okay, so you do not pay money to have a vision. So vision is a great resource you have as well that can get you starting. And I like to say this: vision is not just about what you can see, it is seeing things beyond what they are into what they can be. Okay, so when you have a vision, you must understand the place of becoming as well. Okay, what am I saying? Let's say I have a vision to become, I love using the medical field a lot. Let's say I have a vision to become a medical doctor. Okay, so guess what? The vision to become a medical doctor will require me to start becoming something in order to achieve that vision, right? So I will need to go to probably medical school, 6 7 years, go through their courses, go through their trainings, go through their practicals. And then guess what? In the process of going through their practicals and the process of going through their courses, I am becoming. So at the end of 6 7 years, I come out a doctor. But what was the starting point of that? I had a vision. Okay, so vision is not just what you see, vision is seeing things as they can be. And vision doesn't just end with you seeing, vision places a demand on you to start becoming by virtue of what you've seen. Okay, now in 2020 the world was hit by COVID-19, and it caused a whole lot of businesses and individuals to think in a different pattern. Now guess what? For all those who were already, you know who had already had the vision of doing their businesses online, guess what? They didn't actually suffer losses. Okay, to a great extent they made profits. Why? Because a whole lot of persons started realizing that, wow, okay, so there is no place for physical interaction so much, let's take it online. But guess what? Those who already had the vision of doing business online, we are already rightly positioned to be masters. They were already rightly positioned to be gurus in their space. So when people were coming online to their businesses, there were certain people who were already at the point of mastery. Why? Because they had started, and they started by vision. They saw. Okay. Now, based on the current times we are in, it is going to be very challenging for you if you are not seeing at least 10 years from now. It is. Okay. So what am I saying? Your vision should at least have a 10-year plan. Yeah, you should. Um, I went for a special conference in 2020 January, and one of the speakers was Kingsley Ime, for those who know him, and he said something that I've not been able to get off my mind, and it is something that has helped me in terms of the strategies I put in place to achieve certain goals and results. He said, "See, the goals you set for yourself should be long-term goals. Okay, in other words, you should see long-term." And he said, at least 10 years from now, where do I want to be? And then guess what? in seeing that vision 10 years from now, in having that long-term goal of what you want to be doing in the next 10 years, or what you want your next 10 years to be like, you can start positioning yourself from now. Yeah, that's the power of it. That is why I am not really fazed about a whole lot of things. You see, a whole lot of persons are going around learning different things, running about, trying to get at all the skills they can possibly get, just because they want to get money, which in itself is not a bad thing, only that they become, you know, should I say, too knowledgeable on too many subjects, that they might actually have the problem of applying what they have learned. But guess what? Pick a target that in 10 years from now, this is what I want my life to be like. In 10 years from now, this is what I want my business to look like. In 10 years from now, I want my personal brand to become a global name. In 10 years from now, I want to have set up businesses in 7 African countries and their headquarters here in Nigeria. In 10 years from now, I want to earn in foreign currency. I want to be paid in foreign currency for the problems I solve and for the value that I offer. Guess what? When you set such kind of goals, when you have such kind of visions for yourself, you begin to position yourself now. Okay? So what happens is, though it might not be instant, it will definitely come. Why? Because the starting point of your life is the seed time of your life. Okay? The starting point of your life is the seed time of your life. And you and I, we both agree that the day we plant a seed is not the day that we get the harvest. We plant the seed and then we water it, and then we make sure it has the right environment for it to grow. And a couple of months, a couple of years, depending on what seed was planted, you get a harvest. Now, guess what? When that harvest comes, you don't only have the opportunity and the privilege to benefit from that harvest, other people as well, who at the time we were planting the seed may not have seen a tree, they will now begin to see it. Okay, and guess what? Ignore. Said at the start of this conversation that growth makes you attractive. Okay, nobody ignores the sight of a tree that has a fruit. So when you have a long-term goal, a long-term vision for your life, and you start setting out basic principles, little by little steps you're going to take vision to be achieved, trust me, when the harvest comes, it will come in a bountiful manner. Okay, so you have to lay hold of this thing called vision. Okay, there is no successful man or became successful themselves being successful at. Okay, nobody. So your self picture is very, like I said at the start of this conversation, for this thing called, it is free. It is one of those resources that you've been given. It's one of those resources that you have the ability to wield and to utilize completely. When you have a vision for your life, when you understand how powerful a vision is to your success, your direction will be clear. Okay? In fact, your focus will have focus. Yes, your focus will have focus. And one of the paramount things and the most important things about having a vision is the fact that vision does not expire with technology. Okay, so what do I mean by vision does not expire with technology? What I'm saying is this. Let's say in 20, the high demand for people to have vision. There was a high demand for you to be able to have a mental picture of what you want your tomorrow to look like. Let's say 2020 as well, there was still a high demand for people to have a vision, to have a mental picture of what they want their tomorrow to look like. In the year 2030, there is still going to be a need for vision. Vision does not expire with the improvement of technology. Vision is still one of the basic requirements for any success. Vision is still one of the basic necessities for the success of any life, of any business, of any enterprise. Even the technologies and the powerhouses that will still emerge within the new year we have stepped into, they will emerge from a point of vision. They won't emerge from a point of accident. It is from a point of vision. Okay, I was listening to Pastor Olakunle Shorian, and he was saying something. He said, in the course of human history, there is always a time that there's always a year that bets, the characteristics of the coming years. Okay, reference to the Second World War of 1945, and how that war went on to shape culture, and how that war went on to affect the conduct and the characters of people, even in the coming years. Now, trace it back all the way to 2020. Something actually happened when COVID-19 happened. It's just that a whole lot of persons have not yet gotten the consciousness of what happened. What happened in 2020 has set a pace for what is going to happen, or for what happened in 2021, what will happen in 2022, what will happen in 2025, what will happen in 2028, what will happen in 2030. 2020 has set the tone for what will happen. It has set the tone for businesses. It has set the tone for personal brands. It has set the tone for ministries. It has set the tone for new powerhouses and new power blocks to emerge. It has set the tone. It is those who have been able to lay hold of vision in these current times that will be able to maximize these current years we've stepped into. And like I said, 2020 didn't just bet something. What 2020 did was this: it made sure that those who were rightly positioned would benefit. Those who were doing something worthwhile in 2020 and did not only make profits, they became masters. And guess what? They've been known for something already. Now, it means that if you've not started, you're already late. Yes. If by 2020 you are not known for something, you are not known for a skill, you are not known for, a business, you are not known as a personal brand, you are already late. But guess what? You can still start now. You can still start now. Whatever you didn't do in 2020, whatever you didn't do in 2021, please do it in 2022. I repeat, whatever you didn't do in 2020, whatever you didn't do in 2021, do it in 2022. Because in 2022, a whole lot of, should I call them, knowledge celebrities are going to emerge. A whole lot of knowledge celebrities will emerge. A whole lot of self-made men will emerge. Now, when I say self-made, I don't necessarily mean they became who they were by themselves. What I'm saying is that those who rightly position themselves to be known for something will take hold of what this year and the coming years have to offer. So there is a high demand for you to start now. Start positioning yourself. If you don't have a vision for the next 10 years, please get one. Get one. If you don't have a picture of what you want your life to look like in the next 10 years, please get one. And when you're getting it, get it considering the times we are in. For example, now there are a whole lot of businesses that have gone online. A whole lot of businesses. Why? Because the attention and the sales are online. Is it that there are those who do not make profits offline? They are there. Yes, there are people who make profits, offline. But online is Digital is the new gold. So those who are able to position themselves rightly by this thing called vision are the ones who are going to enjoy this year 2020 and the years that are still coming. Okay, so by all means possible, please know that vision is one of the resources at your disposal with which you can start building anything. And see, let me say this: nothing starts until you start. Nothing starts until you start. Things only work for workers. Things only work for workers. So you've waited enough. You've waited enough. Please start. And let me say this: one of the things that vision will do for you is that vision will require that you separate yourself. Vision will require that you separate yourself. Okay, so do not be scared of the fact that you need to separate yourself. Separate yourself now so that in the next couple of years you will not be ignored. Separate yourself now by virtue of vision so you can start building now, because a storm is coming where only those who are rightly positioned by vision will be able to survive. Okay, so get a vision and start building. Start building. um a lot of persons have what we call emotional paralysis. Okay, in other words, the reasons why a whole lot of persons have not started doing certain things is not because they don't know they should start. It's simply because they are not willing to let go of what they know for what they don't know. Okay, because vision will require you doing the unknown. Yes. So a lot of persons are emotionally tied to certain people. A lot of persons are emotionally tied to certain things. A whole lot of persons are emotionally tied to certain places. And as long as you are tied to certain places, certain things, and certain people, though you have to start, you may never start. So here is me pleading again and begging. Please, as much as you can, you must train yourself in the manner that you can afford to let go of emotionality and start what you need to start. Because success is not emotional. Success is not emotional. You cannot afford to be too emotional for success. Okay, vision will require that you ignore some things that make you emotional. Please ignore those things and start. Okay, ignore those things and start. And something else I like to mention in this conversation as regards to people starting is, for example, myself, when I wanted to start out, doing what I'm doing right now, I had this strong thought of what will people say. What will people say? What will my friends say? What will my church members say? What will those people who knew me before see about me and the path that I have found to walk in? Okay, it was a battle that I had to fight with and I had to deal with. And guess what? I was able to overcome it. Okay, listen to me. This one is for somebody who is listening to this. If the reason you've not started is because of what people will say, please, in the name of whatever you believe in, ignore what people will say and start. Because whether or not you start, people will still say. Whether or not you start, people will still say. Okay, be independent of the good opinions of people. Opinions are cheap. Everybody can afford it. Opinions are cheap. Everybody can afford it. Do not let what people will say keep you where you ought to have left a long time ago. Do not let the fear of what people will say keep you where you ought to have left a long time ago. There is something about kings, and I believe I'm talking to kings here. Kings do not seek the counsel of everybody. Kings seek the counsel of a few. And guess what? They don't just seek a counsel of a few, they seek the counsel of a few wise. Okay? So forget what everybody will say and start doing that which you've been called to do. Start doing that which you've imagined to do. Start doing that which vision is calling you to do. Start doing it. Because whether or not you do it, people will still talk. And most of the times, it is not as if what they will say will have a direct proportion to your income, to your profitability, or to your growth process as a person. What they will say should be mere words, should not just be mere words, but they should be words that should activate you to want to do more. Okay? So please, if you've not trained your confidence, if you've not trained your belief, train your confidence and train your belief to a point where you can start what you need to start now. Okay? I'm a person of the faith, so I'm going to say this scripture for Christians who are listening to this. The Bible said something, it said, "This sign shall follow them that believe." Okay? So belief is the fuel that moves you forward. And guess what? It is impossible for you to manifest signs if you're not moving. Because the Bible said this sign shall follow. So there has to be a movement of some sort for this thing to actually follow you. In other words, please start. Start. Starting is not expensive. It is all based on your perception. Your perception that there is a perfect timing to start. You're waiting for time. You're waiting for the approval of people. While you're waiting, there are others who are jumping in, who are making mistakes and who are learning. While you are waiting, there are others who may not be as knowledgeable as you are, who are in that industry, milking the wealth of that industry, and you're still broke. By all means possible, you have to start. You have to start. Okay? Now, something else I like to say is this. A whole lot of persons have not started because they have this thing called fear. Fear. Fear is one of those things that have kept people with the potentials to bless their world, people with the potentials to bless a certain group of persons. Fear is one of those things that have kept them caged. Now, let me tell you this. You see this thing called fear, you will never ever completely, should I say, outgrow fear. Because whenever you want to try out anything new, there will always be the element of fear. There will always be the element of fear. But guess what? The demand is on you for you to train yourself to the point whereby, despite the presence of this thing called fear, you can still do what needs to be done for the success of your life, for the success of your business, for the success of your finance. You cannot afford to let fear keep you one place. If you think fear will go for you to do, you are wrong. Please change that mindset. Fear will not go for you to do. Instead, the more you do is the more you get to subject this thing called fear. The more you do is the more you get to subject this thing called fear. Okay? So, by all means possible, have this understanding. Fear will always be present, but even more present than fear should be the consciousness of what is within you. Is the consciousness of your abilities, is the consciousness of the quality of knowledge you have as regards to your strength. Okay, because guess what, when you have that consciousness of who you are and what lies within you, you won't let fear keep you back from expressing that which is within you. Okay, so sorry, network. So like I was saying, um you cannot allow fear keep you in a place you ought to have left, you know, a long time ago. Now, the last thing I like to say as regards to why people don't start is that certain persons are simply not inspired enough. Okay, I'm sure Uncle Ronald will agree with me, and a whole lot of other persons as well. But one of the reasons we've started what we've started and we are doing what we are doing is because somehow, somewhere, we got inspired to take a step. Somewhere, somehow, sometime, someplace, we got inspired to take a step. We got inspired to start. The reason why a whole lot of persons are not starting what they ought to have started is simply because they have not found the right inspiration or the right motivation why they should start. In other words, they do not have a strong why as to why they should start doing what they need to start doing. In fact, more than, more than the lack of inspiration is also the fear of whether or not they will be able to sustain what they've started. Because we all know that the energy required to start a thing is not up to the energy that is required to sustain that thing. The energy required to sustain that thing will actually be more than the energy you used to start it. Yes. So a whole lot of persons are not inspired enough to start, and then they are not certain enough that they can sustain what they start. There is a popular scripture: wisdom is the principal thing. In all you're getting, get wisdom and then get understanding. Guess what? Wisdom is the principal thing, but then wisdom is not the only thing. So, in other words, there is certain category of persons who have the knowledge, who have the skill sets, who have the ideas they can start with. In fact, they have ideas and skill sets that can make them go global. But guess what? They will not act on it for this fact that they are either not inspired enough or they are simply not ready for the life that comes with what they will start. Okay, like I said, there is an energy that you need to sustain what you start. And the energy you will need to sustain it will definitely be more than the energy you used to start it. Like I said, to start from scratch, to start building anything, you need vision, you need knowledge, right? Now, you need to be alive, of course, so you need life, and then you need time. Now, guess what? You have these four resources at your disposal now, so you can actually start something. But guess what? To be able to sustain whatever it is you're starting now, you will need to be paying prices. Yes, so you will need to pay price per time to stay relevant and to sustain what you've started. For example, now the knowledge that one may have today with which they can start a business or a personal brand or an investment, though it is profitable today, that knowledge might not be so profitable in 10 years' time. in 10 years time or within 10 years time, there may be a demand for you to step up on what you already knew. There may be a need for you to step up on the sufficiency of the knowledge you possessed. That means the knowledge you used to start at that moment in which you started was sufficient. But as you grow, as you become, as you achieve, you come to understand that there is a need for you to acquire more knowledge. And guess what? In the process of acquiring more knowledge, you get to attract more people as well. Okay, so there are a whole lot of persons who do not think they are ready for the kind of life that starting anything will give to them. So hence, wisdom is the principal thing. But then wisdom is not the only thing, because in starting, you need consistency as well. In starting, you will need persistency. In starting and in sustaining, you will need to make sacrifices. A whole lot of persons have ideas on what they want to do. A whole lot of persons probably have skill sets. A whole lot of persons are probably knowledgeable on a subject matter that could be a blessing to the lives of people. But because they do not think that they have the necessary energy to sustain what they will start, they rather not start at all. So here's the solution, in my own understanding, to the problem of this. There is no orange tree that eats the fruits it brings. Okay, in other words, no tree eats its own fruits. There was nothing made that was made to serve itself. Everything made was made to serve a purpose. It was made to serve others. So you're thinking about sustaining, and you're thinking about the energy it will take for you to sustain what you've started. That is fine. You're calculating the cost. But guess what? Start now. Start now. Because in starting, you're building the capacity. And when you build the capacity and you increase in your capacity, you will be able to handle the things you currently think you cannot handle now. So those things, you don't want to even start them whatsoever. Okay? For the sustainability of what you've started, you will build the capacity to sustain it. But start. Start. And even as you start, you must understand that there is nothing new under the sun. So for everything you're starting, somebody somewhere in this world has done it before. Somebody somewhere has a blueprint to starting and sustaining that area. Okay? What you have to do is look for such persons, connect with them. Now, you might not be able to follow, their steps exactly, as they did theirs. That's because principles can be universal. In fact, principles are universal, okay? But then the experiences they give to each individual is particular. Okay, so the blueprint of this person who has already started and is sustaining what you want to start as well, you might not need to follow them exactly as they did theirs. You might simply need to draw the necessary motivation and inspiration, the necessary knowledge and the skill sets from those people. So when you get to that point in your growth, when you get to that point in your process, when you get to that point in your success journey, you would have built the capacity, you would have a fallback resource to run to be able to handle and sustain what it is that you have already started. Okay? So do not think that because the price of sustaining something is high, I won't start at all. In doing that, you don't know how much of the goodness in you are denying the world. Okay? I like to tell people this. I said, imagine if there was no Facebook. Imagine if there was no cell phone. Imagine if there was no Toyota. Imagine if there was no MTN. Imagine if imagine if there was anything in the world right now that wasn't in the world. Imagine how difficult life would be. Everything you see, every great building, every great personal brand, every great business you see, they all had the thought of how will I be able to sustain it. They all had the thought of how will I be able to sustain it. Even Sir Ronald, I'm very much sure that when he was starting, also had the thought of how will I be able to sustain it. And trust me, 7, 8 years down the line, I would say he is sustaining it perfectly. He is sustaining it in a capable manner. He is not struggling to sustain it. That's because growth comes with process. Okay, sustainability is capacity, but that capacity can only be built in the place of process. So please be willing to go through that process. Hmm? Worry not about the sustainability. When you get to the point where you now need to sustain, you will get the necessary knowledge, the necessary skills, and the necessary help you need to sustain it. But for now, start something. Help can only come to those who have started something. I cannot help you if you're not doing anything. Okay? So that is, my thought on this conversation. I don't know if Sir Ronald
Wow,
is here.
wow,
So
wow, Ejiro.
that's it. Yeah.
I've just been listening for the past couple of minutes and you've blown my mind. You blew the mind, it came back together, you blew it again. You have just been blowing my mind. Like every 2 minutes. Okay, so like I always say, start with what you have and grow it to what you want. Is what it is. Starting from the scratch, that's what it entails. You have a vision, you have life, you have ideas, you have a brain. These things are actually the raw material to get anything started. Okay, but what we say start from the scratch is like starting from the base. Starting from the base, anybody can start from the base. And the truth about it is, when you start from the base, you would most likely appreciate your growth process the more. If I think of where I used to be 7 years ago and where I am now, there's a lot to be grateful for, and there's a lot I've learned over time. Starting from the scratch affords you the opportunity to learn from people and also learn from yourself, learn from what really works for you. So I implore everybody, learn to start now. Start now. There's no better time to start than now. It's a Chinese proverb that says that the the best time to start is yesterday, or the best time to grow a bamboo yesterday. The next best time is now. It will be late if you are considering tomorrow. So start now. Start whatever you want to do. You want to start a business, you want to start uh anything, start now, as far as you have the clearance for it. Of course, you know that most times these things you want to do may seem like they're overwhelming, but when you take the first step, you realize that before you know it, you're done. It's just like when people get admissions into university or higher institutions of learning. Before you get the admission, you've been asking yourself, okay, so how do I even get the admission? But your mind is set on getting the admission and becoming a graduate. That's where your mind is. And the truth about it is, there are certain principles we obey in other aspects of life that if we channel to other aspects of life, we're going to get the same result. You want to be a graduate. You have always dreamed to be a graduate. You don't know how you're going to pay your fees. You don't know how you're going to go about it. But somehow you got jam form and you picked jam. Somehow you wrote the jam and you passed. You know, and somehow you it was time to pay clearance. You paid. Somehow first semester exam you passed. You know, life is in stages. Sometimes we want to have the entire thing at hand before we believe that the full picture has been delivered to us. Have the full picture, but then take tiny steps to achieving it. Uh, I'm a Christian and I believe in a particular school of thought that, of course, it's in the Bible that God is the author and finisher of our faith, and then He's the one that sees the end from the beginning. See what happens. Because God sees the end from the beginning, He's in the beginning and He's also at the end, and He's everywhere in the process. What God does for someone who has an understanding of these things is that He gives you a picture of the end. He gives you a picture of the end. And trust me, when God gives you the picture of the end, it's overwhelming. It blows your mind. It's something that your human comprehension cannot, fathom per time. Because of the present situation you find yourself, you cannot imagine yourself in that particular situation because it's bigger than you presently. But there is a beginning. So God is in the beginning and He's at the end. But He has shown you this is what your end is going to look like. But what He expects you to do is to take one step towards that end. The truth about it is, once you take the first step, you will eventually find yourself taking the second step. And before you know it, you have gotten there. Starting from the scratch means taking that first step and consistently building up yourself towards attaining that height you want to attain. The more successful you get, the more you realize that there are more hurdles to cross. If you are the kind of person that have pictured yourself in a particular place, and then you get to that particular place and you feel okay, then growth is not what you are. It's not for you. Every person who is very particular about growth gets to a particular extent and realizes that, okay, this is nice, but there is more. It's just like knowing God. The more you know God, the more you know you want to know Him. And then success is relative, obviously. Success, your level of success, your measure of success may not be my measure of success. And per time, there are chances that, based on what we're exposed to and what we know, we begin to modify our definition of success. For somebody who is a student, success for him at that point in life would just be to make all A's in a particular semester or graduate with a first class. That's what he or she may have defined success to be. And trust me, in that same class, some other person may have also defined success to be, let me just leave this university and I'm successful. So you see that success is relative. At the same time, it goes to show that you should not focus or cling your idea or your definition of success on some other person's definition. Have your own definition and start from where you are. Keep pushing, keep growing. When that person graduates from university, success for him could be that he lands his dream job. Success could be that he gets settled, have a good family, get a car, stuff like that, and it becomes success. For some other person, it will be, I've set out to do a particular thing this year, reach out to a particular set of people this year, and I do. For me, this year was a successful year. That's how I know that. For instance, 2021 was a very successful year for me. I set out to do a couple of things and I hit them. As a matter of fact, before 2021 was over, I'd already finished everything on my goal list and I was already planning for the next set of things to accomplish in that year. So let's start. That is the message. That is what this conversation is about. Thank you very much, Ejiro, for opening our eyes in this respect. I hope you're still online. Uh, Briefly, I would want
Yeah.
you to tell us the links to your social media account. I know there are people listening from different parts of the world. This particular broadcast is going on live on Apple, on iTunes. It's on iTunes. Is on Google Podcast. Is on Anchor.fm. Is being broadcasted also on YouTube as well as Spotify. So people are listening from across the world. So tell us your Instagram handle if you have any, just your social media handle, so we can follow you.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So I'm on Facebook as Ejiro Mekako. On Instagram as Ejiro Mekako as well. Those are virtually the two platforms I'm
Okay.
on right now,
Okay.
with the
So
exemption of
how
WhatsApp.
do you spell Ejiro Mekako? Because let's say somebody
Okay.
from third world, yeah, somebody
Okay.
from the first world nation may just be listening and want to
Okay.
connect.
So Ejiro is spelled Ejiro. Then
Okay.
Mekako is spelled Mekako. So once you've typed in, you'll be able to find my profile on either Facebook or Instagram.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Amazing. Thank
And my WhatsApp number is +234 0703118 3490. plus two
Okay.
three four zero seven zero three one one eight 3490. So you can always connect with me on WhatsApp as well.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ejiro. Okay. So we're going to have another broadcast like this by next week. So if you're listening to this, I hope that you connect with us next week on this same platform. This platform you're listening to this conversation from. Connect with us. We're going to be having another guest come talk to us about another issue in the next episode. Now, if you want to be part of um, the live chat with me, my name is Ronald Kenneth, Africa's premier and most sought after smartphone productivity coach. If you want to be part of these conversations with me, it's simple. It's simple. Just look for me on any of the social media platforms. I'm on LinkedIn, Ronald Kenneth. I'm on Facebook, Ronald Kenneth. I have a profile, I have a page on Facebook. Look for me on Instagram at Real Ronald Ken, on Twitter at Real Ronald Ken, Instagram too, yeah, at Real Ronald Ken, Real Ronald Ken, Real as RealRonaldKen. That's Real Ronald Ken together. Look for me on any of those platforms. Send me a DM. We'll talk about how you can be part of my guests. Okay, so we are going to be doing this as long as the year runs. So you can always feature. We'll talk about any topic that you are comfortable with. You could also reach me on WhatsApp +234 813271 8024. I'll take that again. +234 813271 8024. So no matter where you are calling in from or messaging from, the US, Canada, Nigeria, anywhere in Africa, Australia, Canada, no matter where you are, you can be my guest. Okay, and would love to share in your ideologies, get to learn from you as well. So thank you very much. If you have listened so far, do well to share this broadcast as well, and also look out for other platforms that this broadcast is going to be made available on iTunes, on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, even on Facebook Live. Anywhere you're listening to it from, also do well to check out for other platforms. Click the share button. Let's make this go viral and have a lot of people connect and get value. So thank you very much. See you all in the next broadcast. Thank you so much.